I did not.
Hello there, welcome to the 8th Shantytown devlog following the development of my city block builder game. I've been hard at work cleaning up some visual aspects left over from the previous devlog. Last time I added a paper texture overlay, but the problem was many models didn't have the proper UV layouts, which I planned to recorrect. Then I thought, maybe I don't have to. It's time to do a programmer's favorite thing, replace laziness with efficiency. I looked at the material where I added the paper texture and inserted a world-aligned texture node, and voila! It looks better already. There are still some seams, but I'll figure that out another day. Shout out to Prismatica Dev for the fantastic 5-minute material videos. The next thing I wanted to tackle is round surfaces. I don't really mind the blocky aesthetic, but with the outline shader, you get too many lines and it can look noisy. So I finally figured out how to do smooth shading. Basically, in Blender, on your object, select the edges that are not meant to be smooth and increase their mean crease to 1. Then, in object mode, click Shade Smooth. You can also click the Auto Smooth by this green triangle and adjust the degrees to get it looking good. And that's it. As soon as I figured that out, I started applying this to everything that had rounded edges, and the result is really nice. It's amazing to me that I created an entire game without doing this once. Next, I created the map system I teased in the last devlog, and decided to color coordinate locations based on their environment type. This led me to recreate the maps in general. Previously, I had one level, which was the skybox, and then when you loaded a new map, it would load an object, a single block of land created in Blender, into the level. I've restructured this so now each map is its own level. On top of that, I made multiple land models so I can place one at a time and customize the level layout without needing to go back to Blender each time. This means scrapping all 10 of the maps I already had and starting over.
Oh shit, here we go again.
I should have done this from the beginning, and I'm not sure why I didn't, but here we are. The goal of this is to make the maps more interesting and distinct, as they were previously too flat and too similar. I added some more diversity to the new levels. For example, in the tutorial level, Shanty Town, it feels like there's more reason to place even the first object with these slight variations in ground height. Then for some reason I was compelled to make a waterfront map. So I added a big old cube to represent the water. Rather than recreating a brand new water material, I copy-pasted my water from the other game, Kainga, as I think the water in that looks pretty good. Unexpectedly, it didn't quite work. Kainga is made in Unreal Engine 4, and Shanty Town is made in Unreal Engine 5. For some reason, the newer version got rid of material tessellation, and I don't know how to make waves on the water surface without it. It looks like they removed it in favor of their ocean plugin, which goes on forever and looks great, but in my specific case, I need a cube of water, not an ocean. The color looks pretty good, but I'm really disappointed in this conclusion. If you know how to make 3D waves, let me know in the comments. When hitting a roadblock like this, I tend to go around it rather than keep hitting my head against the wall. The best I could do for now is to use some sine waves and a distance to nearest surface node to move the foam around the edges of objects. Then I switched it from the white foam in Kainga to a normal-based reflection ripple. I think it looks alright for now. I decided to focus on making each level more unique in terms of what objects are placed and what the level's feeling would be. I really wanted each level to have a distinct look, even if that means more work on my end. Part of that was adding color palettes. I mentioned how I made my color palettes in Devlog 2, and now was a good time to test out different palettes on different maps. Basically how it works is, the map pulls from these 16 color combinations, but so by swapping this texture with another one, you get a different look and feel. Difference may not be that dramatic, but this is just a test to see if it works. And I think I'll be taking it even further in the future. The other part of making unique maps is new objects and behind the scenes goals for each level. I want to subtly guide the player to create a specific type of scene. Obviously, the waterfront level is supposed to be a colorful, pleasant cafe area. Shanty Town, the tutorial map, is supposed to be an introduction to the mechanics, and has just basic buildings and objects to create, well, a shanty town. Vapor is a warehouse district. It still needs a bit of work. And the newest addition is an office and farming district, which I think is a cool combination, because it really forces you to be clever. Office buildings get a bonus when stacked, but there's multiple different types. At the same time, one of the objectives is to place 10 farms, which isn't even possible on the land available. This forces you to create a vertical farming area with skyscrapers and farms climbing up the buildings. I really like how it turned out, and it feels totally different to the other levels. And last but not least, I finally figured out my day and night cycle. I've literally been trapped in a rotational paradox for weeks, where the rotation of the sun would no longer respond to inputs due to something called the gimbal lock. I had a really hard time figuring out what was going wrong, and finally found this phenomenon on Wikipedia. Forgive me if I could not decipher this cryptic language. And that's it for now. The goal is to have a few highly unique examples of levels to give the player an idea of what the game will entail. Next up, I'll be working on giving a good sense of progression between these levels. Until then, see you in the next one. Goodbye.